think, you know, him knowing the caliber of fighter that I am is going to push him to raise
him to the occasion.
Yeah. So I'm looking to fight the best Canelo Alvarez there is.
No, bro, I know Crawford, and he's different. And see, the only thing different here is Canelo is not a bigger guy at that weight. He's not like he's standing 6'1", 6'2" like Bivol.
There's a different style, you know. I mean, they're both good fighters, so it's hard to compare.
Crawford, but you know, he's the crazy fight. You know, it's too much power for Crawford. I mean, I know he can do it for the money, but
Terence Crawford went live and didn't hold back. He was fired up. He slammed Canelo Alvarez hard, saying Bivol already exposed him and now Crawford is ready to do even worse. In a recent interview, Crawford didn't just throw shade, he straight up asked if Canelo is still the same beast he used to be. He looked back at Canelo's recent fights, and one stood out to him more than the rest, his loss to Dmitry Bivol. That fight told Crawford everything he needed to know.
I wouldn't say that. I just feel like, you know, it just takes certain fighters to motivate other fighters. You know, like you waking up the sleeping giant, you know. The fights that he's been fighting, he's just like, oh, man,
yeah,
these guys, you know. Well, but I think, you know, him knowing the caliber of fighter that I am is going to push him to raise
him to the occasion.
Yeah. So I'm looking to fight the best Canelo Alvarez there is.
Crawford didn't see it as just a loss. He saw it as Canelo getting beat down badly. According to him, Bivol exposed weaknesses, cracks in the armor of a man who once looked untouchable. And Crawford, he's confident. If Bivol could do that to Canelo, Crawford thinks he could do even more. Despite moving up in weight, that's how sure he is of himself.
Like I'm about to conquer the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think you'd have got on the super middleweight with a Cobra. You're in my division now, man. You're in my division now.
Man, listen, I'd have beat you too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How would you have done it though?
It'd have been tough, man, because you tall, long, rangy. That'd have been tough.
Tough fight.
Yeah, that'd have been tough.
I'll take that. I respect that.
That'd have been real tough.
Nice one, man.
But not everyone's buying into what Crawford's saying. Hamza Shiraz, the rising star from the UK, stepped in with his thoughts, and he didn't mince words. He believed Canelo wouldn't just win, he's topped Crawford. Shiraz sees the size difference as a real issue. Yes, Crawford is incredibly talented, nobody's denying that, but stepping into a heavier division isn't just about skills, it's about raw power. And Shiraz is convinced that Crawford's natural ability won't be enough to survive against a stronger, bigger man at super middleweight.
My kind of perspective on that fight is, I feel like number one, there's a weight class for reasons, and I feel like if we're basing it off their last performances, Canelo had the better performance, I believe, even though he had a negative fight in front of him. And I feel like Crawford struggled a little bit with Madrimov's physicality. Yeah, it was very physical, and I feel like he struggled a little bit with it. And then you got to remember, Canelo's a big dude. He's a big dude. He's strong. He knows how to use his size. But then at the same time, at that level, you can't write off fighters like Crawford because he's so skillful. So him going up 2 weights, he could defy the odds because he's a generational great. But if I had to kind of put my money on it, I'd put my money on Canelo Alvarez to win via a stoppage.
David Morrell shared a more balanced view. He sees Crawford as smart, sharp and deadly in the ring, but even he thinks Crawford might be going too far this time. Canelo is no joke. He's dangerous. Morrell gave Crawford all the credit in the world for his skills, but questioned if this fight is more about the money than a real boxing challenge. He respects Crawford, no doubt, but the size, the strength, the sheer presence Canelo brings into the ring, that might be too much, even for a technician like Crawford.
It's a crazy fight, you know. It's too much power for Crawford. I mean, I know he can do it for the money, but it's too much. It's too much power for Crawford, and Canelo is not easy. You know, Canelo is stronger. It's difficult. It's difficult for Crawford to win this fight or to stay the win the third round. So, you know, I say 60-40 for Canelo.
With so many different opinions flying around, it's clear this isn't just a fantasy fight anymore. A showdown between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez feels more real by the day. Two different styles, two different personalities, two very different weight classes. And yet, it's one of the most talked about fights in boxing right now.
When that fight's going to take place, but you know, it's obvious, I think, that both men want to make sure they don't cede the high ground in terms of the psychological battle. I mean, even Canelo, Crawford, you know, has kind of gotten under his skin enough so that we see that side of Canelo, which comes out every once in a while, where he's more rambunctious and maybe hostile. But it would, you know, I think the thing about this event is, as the promotional stuff goes on, you know, I think we're going to see more and more of that kind of psychological sparring.
Antonio Tarver, former light heavyweight champ, added more fuel to the fire. He admitted that Canelo's got serious punching power at 168, but if Crawford can handle that early pressure, if he can take those punches and keep his cool, then this fight could turn in his favor. Tarver didn't say it would be easy, but he believes Crawford has the skills and the mental toughness to hang in there.
No, bro, I know Crawford, and he's different. And see, the only thing different here is Canelo is not a bigger guy at that weight. He's not like he's standing 6'1", 6'2", like Bivol or one of those guys. So on fight night, the size is not going to be the main thing, the most important thing. It's going to be skill set. And both of them coming with their skill set. But what I haven't seen lately is the opponents that Canelo is facing. Those guys aren't going to get him ready for a guy like Crawford. So Canelo is going to have to go back to that grind and turn back the hands of times too.
Tarver went further. He said that if Crawford can stay composed, survive the early rounds, and avoid making mistakes, then it's a whole different ballgame. Crawford's IQ inside the ring might just be the X factor here. This wouldn't be a walk in the park for either of them, but Tarver believes Crawford's got a real shot, a real one, if he can weather the storm.
Because he show up like he did against Skull. He show up like he did against Benavidez, not Benavidez, but Berlanga, and the other guy. What's the other guy name? Munguia. Bro, those guys, he didn't have enough activity. The last time I saw Canelo that would beat, I think, this Crawford was Plant. Now that Canelo come cutting the ring, all throwing combination to the head and to the body, active, it's gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a hell of a fight. You know what I mean? And I still think I give Crawford a chance even then. So that's what type of talent I think Crawford is. He's definitely gonna have to get used to that power.
Even Michael Buffer, yes, the legendary announcer, spoke up. He didn't pick a side outright, but he did say one thing loud and clear: this fight would be close, very close. And that's saying something. When someone like Buffer says it's a toss-up, you know it's serious. It shows that people really believe Crawford has a shot, even if he's the smaller guy on paper.
Michael, it's not a big fight unless you're announcing it. Canelo versus Crawford. How do you see that one going?
I think it's going to be a close and interesting fight.
Right.
I think it's going to be a technical fight, not a talent fight.
Now, what do you think about Dana White promoting it? Do you think
he's only proven himself to be one of the greatest promoters in the history of sports?
So he's good, pretty good deal. He's good for boxing.
Oh yeah, he don't know what to do.
Because some people like De La Hoya have been a little critical of him, but he has the Michael Buffer approval, obviously. For sure. You're the man. Thank you.
Then came Manny Pacquiao's reaction. When asked about Canelo saying Crawford is better than Mayweather, Pacquiao looked surprised. He didn't dive deep, but that reaction alone spoke volumes. Let's not forget, Mayweather beat Canelo pretty clearly back in the day, so to hear Canelo say Crawford is better than Floyd, yeah, that turned a lot of heads.
Crawford what?
Better than Floyd Mayweather. Canelo said that.
Crawford can beat.
No, Crawford said Canelo. Canelo said Crawford's better than Mayweather. What do you think? What's your assessment on that?
There's a different style, you know. I mean, they're both good fighters, so it's hard to compare yourself to others like.
Pacquiao's reaction stirred things up even more. It made people wonder, was Canelo trying to boost Crawford's image while taking a little dig at Mayweather? Maybe it's mind games, maybe it's part of building the fight. Either way, it got people talking.
Do you think Crawford can do any of what Mayweather did against Canelo? Do you think he can do any of that?
What, Canelo?
Can Crawford do any of what Mayweather did against Canelo?
That's a good fight, man. You know,
We'll see. Thank you.
And then there was David Benavidez. He said he wouldn't be shocked if Crawford pulled off the upset. That's huge. Benavidez knows the division well, he's been in the trenches, and he still sees Crawford as a real threat. That's big praise from a guy who knows what it takes to survive at 168. He acknowledged Canelo's size and experience, but also pointed to Crawford's unique skill and adaptability.
Does he have an opportunity to beat Canelo?
I think if anybody has a opportunity, has a chance to beat Canelo, I think it's Terence Crawford. His IQ is on another level. He's a great fighter and he's strong. It's just that it's a lot of weight, you know what I mean? And he didn't have a hard time at 154, but he wasn't like, you know what I mean? The other guy was getting him with some good punches, you know what I mean? So he felt the power at 154. So imagine you go up to 160, 160. Madrimov, yeah, Madrimov is a good fighter. And then, you know, you're fighting a strong fighter like Canelo. So, I mean, I feel like, it's like I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Terence Crawford wins, but I wouldn't be surprised if he loses.
Sugar Ray Leonard also joined the conversation, but he didn't pick sides. Instead, he questioned the comparisons being made between today's fighters, Crawford and Canelo, and legends like Floyd Mayweather. Leonard didn't seem convinced. To him, putting Crawford or Canelo in the same breath as Mayweather felt like a stretch. He reminded everyone that greatness isn't just about hype, it's about legacy and what you've actually done in the ring over time.
Hey, they gotta prove it.
You know, Roy said...
I appreciate Ray.
Leonard's comment gave the whole debate some perspective. He didn't trash anyone, but he did remind fans legacy is earned, hype is temporary. Still, the fact that Sugar Ray is even talking about Crawford in that conversation, that says a lot about how respected Crawford has become.
You know what? It's up to the individual. It's always up to the individual.
Crawford tried to push up on Canelo there. It looked like Canelo wasn't pushed back too much, and he actually pushed Crawford, sent him back a little bit. Did you get a chance to see that face-off and their physical interactions or whatnot?
Not really. All right, guys, thank you.
Last one for Ray.
Size or speed? What usually wins in fights? Because that's what they're saying the tale of Canelo Crawford is.
Speed. I like speed.
Speed, yeah.
Sergio Mora gave his thoughts next. He didn't just talk about skill, he focused on something deeper, Crawford's attitude. Mora called Crawford a mean dude, cold, intense, laser-focused, and in close fights, that kind of edge can make all the difference. He believes it's not just the punches Crawford throws, it's the fire behind them, the way he carries himself, that ice-cold demeanor. Mora sees that as one of Crawford's biggest weapons.
Hey, listen, man, you know, for a long time I kept saying, you know, a great big man will beat a great small man. That's just how it is in boxing. But after Canelo's last performance, like many people, man, he struggled against a guy in cutting off the ring, a longer guy that wasn't trying to make it a fight. And Canelo has lost his step. Let's keep it real. I mean, he's a man with over 65 fights. He's been fighting professionally since he was 15 years old. Yes. There's wear and tear, there's injury. He can turn old overnight. Yes. And believe it or not, he's younger than Crawford.
Mora also brought up something really interesting. Even though Crawford is older in years, Canelo might be the one who's more worn down. All those battles Canelo's been through, they add up. Mora thinks Crawford looks fresher, stronger, and even bigger in terms of physical frame. He praised Crawford for how disciplined and focused he is, especially with how he's building his body the right way as he moves up.
But Crawford doesn't have those miles. You know, Crawford's 37 years old. He can turn old overnight. But I still like Crawford, man. He's just a mean dude. He's been bulking up nicely, doing it the right way. He looks bigger. He looks bigger than Canelo right now as far as like height, the shoulders. I think it's going to be a decision type fight.
But despite all that, Mora still thinks Canelo would edge it out. He sees a war, tough battle that goes all the way to the final bell. In Mora's eyes, Crawford would do damage, maybe even a lot of it, but Canelo would hang in there, survive, and do just enough to get the win on the scorecards.
I think Crawford's in this fight, and I don't think Canelo leaves unscathed. think he'll leave a little bruised and beat up, but he'll still win the decision.
And then came Shakur Stevenson. He didn't hesitate. He said Crawford would win. He didn't break it down with tactics or deep analysis. He just said it straight. That kind of confidence, especially coming from a guy who understands high-level boxing, that hits different.
I ain't gonna lie, I've been putting it out since, I want to say, when he fought Sean Porter. Like back then, if you go watch, it's an interview out there. I had said I think that Terence Crawford would beat Canelo Alvarez right after he fought Shakur Porter. So the idea, I've been thinking about it. I've been saying it before Bud even was saying it.
Stevenson's belief in Crawford shows just how much respect Crawford has in the boxing world. Even with all the talk about weight and size, more and more people from inside the sport are backing him.
Because I just knew, like, as far as in that weight class, Terence Crawford is like the greatest. So I just feel as though with Canelo's style and like the style of boxing that he got, I think and this is before Bivol did it, but I thought like Terence Crawford was the only guy who I felt as though could have beat Canelo with his style.
And Crawford, he's not backing down. That bold statement he made about Bivol dominating Canelo, it shook things up. And now this fight is no longer just talk. It's become part of the real boxing conversation. Some people say he's cocky, some say he's just speaking facts. But one thing's clear, Crawford lit a fire under the division and people are paying attention.
The same thing happened with Spence.
Same thing gonna happen with Spence. They're gonna figure out some type of excuse why Terence Crawford was successful in the Canelo Alvarez fight.
This isn't just about another belt. It's not even just about money. If Crawford versus Canelo happens, it's about something deeper. Legacy, pride, who really belongs at the top of the sport. And with fans, legends and fighters all split on who wins, it's the kind of fight that could change boxing's future.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely confident that he's going to get the victory. Second of all, I'm just happy for him and the team. So, you know, the world can see once again why he considered the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. No, I don't think there's no pressure on Terence because Terence will fight the way that he's used to fighting. So by saying all that stuff that Turkey say or anybody else say, that doesn't bother Terence not one bit. You know, we train for one way, the way we're going to fight, and that's the way we're going to get the job done.
Carl Froch brought even more heat to the conversation. He made it clear Canelo is in real danger if this fight happens. Froch wouldn't be shocked at all if Crawford wins. Even though Canelo might be the favorite, Froch sees Crawford as a different kind of threat. He praised Crawford's toughness, his composure, and especially his intelligence in the ring. That calm, that focus, it's what sets Crawford apart. Froch believes that could be the key to beating Canelo.
Although the Brits do want to see it because of the history of Ben Eubanks. So out of all the top fights that potentially could happen that I would want to see, and I think that the boxing fans would want to see, especially boxing purists, it's going to be Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. It's got to be all day long. I mean, Terence Crawford is just an unbelievable talent, and we've never seen him beat. So when there's somebody who's unbeaten, you always want to see how they're going to cope with somebody who's potentially got a massive favourite. We saw what happened to Amir Khan when he stepped up from welterweight. He got absolutely ironed out. But that's sometimes what happens if somebody's smaller coming up to a bigger weight division. They get clipped on the chin. They're not used to taking that punch power. And up at light middleweight, when Terence Crawford stepped up to fight Israel Madrimov.
Jim Lampley looked back on Canelo's loss to Floyd Mayweather years ago. He thinks that fight was a turning point in Canelo's career. To Lampley, that loss wasn't just a lesson. It helped shape Canelo into the fighter he is now, more refined, more disciplined, more dangerous. And no matter who you put in front of him, Canelo's never been knocked out. That consistency says a lot.
Canelo's smart. Absolutely, he's smart. He knows this business as well as anybody. So no, it's not surprising that Canelo learned from Floyd and has employed some of that in the retention of his career. Canelo still knows how to make fireworks when he absolutely has to make fireworks. But at the end of the day, he's a counterpuncher. He's a great defender. He has the most solid punch resistance of anybody in the sport. Nobody's ever knocked him off balance. Nobody's ever really knocked him down. There's only one official knockdown in his career, and it was because he bounced off the ropes when Jose Cotto hit him with a hard shot to the chest.
So here we are, the stage is set, opinions are flying from every direction, the hype is as real as it gets, from living legends to rising stars, everyone has something to say about Crawford versus Canelo. Could this be the fight of a generation, or is it a step too far for Bud? Will power beat precision, or will skill rewrite the rules? Drop your predictions in the comments, smash that like button if you're ready to see fireworks in the ring. And don't forget to subscribe, this conversation is only just getting started.